We got to eat yet.
Okay.
How many prizes do
You get one prize for this game.
Oh, these are,
Hi, buddy.
When Cameron was very little, he was incredibly engaging because he had these sparkling blue eyes and he would always try to engage people in conversation. And of course, he also had mischief in his eyes.
Well, she can't talk to you, honey, because she's just going to see it on a videotape. That's Mommy's extension cord. Don't touch that.
He was a follower. He liked to follow me through the backyard and do whatever I was doing, and he would always want to help me.
He was always the one that was inventing stuff and taking stuff apart in the house. Cameron was always that person, just wanted to see how things worked and why they worked the way they did.
I remember him learning to ride a bike. He didn't want to try it till he honestly had kind of figured it out, how almost the mechanics and the physics of it.
All right, yeah, we're live. Here we go.
Ready?
Lights.
Wait.
Camera.
Kind of nervous. Where were you born?
I was born in Modesto, California on May 5th, 1994 at 11:59 p.m. So a speech impediment is caused by a lack of air at birth, so my umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck and I couldn't breathe. And I was in speech since I was like 3 years old up till about 6th grade.
Well, I could understand him mostly the best out of the whole family. He would speak with vowels, so rather than saying mama, he would go and with all that comes a whole bunch of medical supports, but they didn't diagnose him with cerebral palsy until he was 10.
Anything on a fine motor level, it's very hard for me to do because my hands get tired and achy, so it affects the muscles.
I was constantly taking him to be evaluated to see if he was within what they called the developmental milestones, and he would be right on the edge, always, pretty much always.
We pushed him, and he pushed himself.
Yeah.
He pushed himself very hard, and a lot of times he was very hard on himself.
You have to do whatever you can during those first 3 years of life to make those dendrites grow and fire across the midline. And so we constantly kept him going to Gymboree. We were constantly pushing him to speak.
We never said, that's not a good idea, you shouldn't really do that, that's a little dangerous, or that's really not recommended for a child your age. We just let him do it.
He typically would write in color with his left hand, but he was having trouble. It was harder for him to make those small letters and things, and so he decided on his own that he was going to switch and start writing with his right hand. And so he did try that. It was still difficult for him, and by 4th grade was when we finally decided, okay, it's time to put him on a laptop.
You know, the cons are that kids would ask me, hey, why are you using a laptop in school, and kind of self-conscious about it. But the pros are that I did my work a lot quicker than anyone else, so I had time to play around and get to know a computer.
One of the things that was also difficult for us as parents is when we would hear about kids teasing him about his speech.
I was made fun of by kids at school, but my older brother would stick up for me, like no questions asked. Good, dude.
It'll be, so I do maintenance until the end of July. Shut up, we're making a documentary. And then maintenance till the end of July. And then, are you nervous? Don't worry about it. I got you back. Don't drop them. Oh, drink it?
Keela, why are you doing
this?
They're not, probably got
Spitting on my
GMOs.
dog. These are organic, dude.
They literally don't taste like anything.
They probably don't work.
How many seeds are you putting per hole?
One.
Oh,
What are you putting?
3 or 4.
I guess that makes more sense now.
I want the chances to be better.
Cam got bullied quite a bit when he was younger. So growing up, me and my friends were all really protective of him.
I was walking home and this kid was walking too, and he said something to me and I kind of shrugged it off, you know, and my brother pulls up to me and is like immediately, he's like, hey, what's wrong? I'm like, well, this asshole is just like making fun of my backpack. And my brother throws his truck in reverse, screeches back, and he's like, hey, are you making fun of my brother? And the kid's like, no. He's like, good, keep it that way.
Growing up as kids, we were always going on adventures together. It was cool because being so close, we didn't really need other people. So if our friends couldn't, come out and play, we'd just go find things to do. We'd take apart things more than we'd build things. I remember one of the first things he ever took apart was a microwave, and he took the whole thing apart and attempted to put it back together. And I've always just been so intrigued on watching how his mind works. And I can always count on him. I've always been able to count on him for anything. He's helped me get through a lot of rough times in my life, and it's been nice to have a brother so close.
Hey, stop! You're a good dog.
Tell her to sit.
No. They meant like when I'm up in the air, I try to, but he's kind of scared.
Yeah, he let me fly it last time we went up. It was pretty fun.
What do you do? I just let him fly.
Yeah. He let me fly it when we were in the air already, and I didn't have to worry about. It's fun.
Okay.
Scary.
Yeah.
I did it for like 10 seconds and was like, nope, you fly it.
So I've known Cameron for about like too long. I think we met at like 3 or 4 years old or so. We were neighbors, so we were always like hanging around.
You guys became friends pretty eeasily, like.
Oh yeah, got the same interest. Always loved doing stuff outside. Rarely indoors. He hated video games.
Go big or go home!
Hear that little voice crack there? Just go! No, you're not gonna be a model, Cameron. No.
He has, I'd say his number one thing is his ability not to like worry about what other people think about him. And that's a good trait that he has, because he uses it to his benefit. I think it's great. I mean, our military are not only like the international police force, but a big source of the stuff we do is a humanitarian mission. So like all the stuff around the world that, like all the hurricanes in like the Gulf and whatnot.
So I agree on the humanitarian aspect, but I think there's a lot of like, well, we just need a base here. We need a base there. Let's send guys there.
So like a lot of stuff like in the Middle East, you have like looking back at Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So you had bad people over there. So I don't have a problem with that.
Do you think oil had anything, the fact that we get our majority of oil from the Middle East had anything to do with it?
Probably in some individuals' minds and decision making it probably did, but
no, but to you.
For me, no.
You don't think that oil had anything to do with it?
No.
Interesting.
It is interesting. So, while we don't agree on a lot of things, we do agree on like a couple main things, and that's just love life and have a good time.
What the heck was that?
Cameron Sluggett embodies rebellion to like a T.
I remember him one time asking me, well, if I pass the high school exit exam in 8th grade, why do I have to go to high school?
I mean, he knew what he wanted to do. And he wouldn't let anything get in his way or stop him.
Step back. All right, now walk forward.
Oakdale, California is a wonderful little town in the Central Valley. You know, it's the type of town where some people can really get stuck, and it's a type of community that has a really strong sense of a community and a really strong conservative mindset. And, you know, being in that close community where expectations are set right here, and you're not, you know, if you don't meet those expectations and play high school football and do this and graduate and do this, and you don't go to college, get married, have a job, have kids, and buy a house, you know, a lot of people view you as a failure. That's one thing Cameron really saw early on, not only with technology, but just with people, is that, you know, he saw through the bullshit.
Alright, let's see some like laughing. Say some laughing.
I just question things and question answers and, you know, why? It's hard for me to take things as they are. I want to know why.
I think that growing up in a small town, everyone knew who Cameron was.
He started trends people would follow. When we went to high school together and people would find out, oh, you're Cam's sister. They were like, what? Cam's awesome.
It's kind of like they want everyone to fit in the box, and I did not fit in the box, so I was always like a kid that, you know, I was liked as a person, but hated as a student. I think there's fundamental things up till about 8th and 9th grade, but unless you're going into a field that is using that, the majority of things is just like, why are you learning this? Like, I learned more in 6 months running my landscaping business than I did in 3 years of high school, so.
When you're like little kids, you'd be the one that figure out a way to make $1 and stuff. Working the lawns, mowing lawns and whatnot, and doing landscaping stuff. So when he was in high school, that's his first like main job, was he was a business owner. And that's pretty cool. A lot of people didn't really think it was going anywhere. I remember teachers at the time were kind of condoning that.
We do all the lawns in the neighborhood. And then when I went away to college, Cam kind of took that business idea and ran with it. I purchased a little trailer that he would haul around town after school, or sometimes he'd go half a day at school because he had so much work to do. And
the first account I ever had was $50 a month, and I thought, what in the world am I gonna do with all this money? I mean, $50 a month.
And he had a lot of adult employees under him, which was crazy for a kid that age.
And that was before I could drive, so I would hire my dad to drive me with the lawnmower and everything to go cut the lawn.
It grew from, you know, the small lawn jobs to things even bigger. He started doing tree work, you know, doing fencing.
9 to 5 would not work for Cameron in any of his job. In fact, I don't think he's ever had a 9 to 5 job, because that would not be the best outcome.
He's always had his own way of doing things and his own way of seeing things.
If he sees a problem or if he sees something that he wants fixed, he'll go and do it.
His work ethic has always been wake up before the sun comes up, don't stop until the job gets done. He puts his full heart into anything that he's trying to build up.
He's the one always working really hard when I didn't want to do anything. He'd be the one always out there sweating, working, making sure stuff got done.
Cameron really changed my life. He graduated from high school early and really was pursuing his business in landscaping in Oakdale. And he basically inspired me to do the same. And I ended up going to work for him with his landscaping company. And I learned a ton about life, learned a ton about work ethic. Yeah, he basically taught me how to work like a man. One thing I love about Cameron is that he does not care about any societal expectations or anything in that matter in regards to what he does and his success. He views success in his own way, and he's willing to sacrifice anything necessary to get to his view of success, regardless of what people view of it or what the world sees it as.
When he was about 8 years old, we were having a discussion, a family discussion. We always have fairly heated family discussions, but we allow our children to express their opinions. And we were telling Cameron, you know, it's really important that you go to college so that you can pay for your house, pay for a mortgage, buy a car that you need to drive around in, buy food, and, you know, pay for your utilities. And he was quiet for about 15 seconds, and then he said, well, I'm going to get myself a beef jerky truck so that I can sell beef jerky, and then I do not have
play guitar.
And play guitar, and then I don't have to have any bills. I won't have to have a mortgage. I'll be able to pay for my food, and then I can go wherever I want. And I remember being worried about that, you know. Well, if you don't go to college, how are you going to, you know, support yourself?
He's done pretty good.
He's done very well.
Like I said, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't be nearly as successful as I would be today without him and, you know, what he showed me. You know, the only reason I was able to go hike the Pacific Crest Trail was because he put me in the position to do it and showed me that I could, you know, break out of the mold. Most of my memories with Cameron in the early days were all surrounded around, you know, almost a work environment. He was so focused on his business and his work, and we would do little things together like go hiking and skiing every once in a while. It wasn't until later in our relationship, a few years down the road, that we became really, really good friends as adults.
Does this thing run?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Almost everything runs now, man.
That's a joke. See a rhino line this?
This here is my road trip mobile.
You grab the screw gun, dude. It's over here.
Oh, you mean the impact wrench?
Yeah.
Not the screw gun. City boy.
You're the one that goes in slow now.
I do. Oh, they're spray paints. That's
Yeah, that Let's drop it down.
The day I met him, probably when he was 16, he was trying to convince me to rappel off my apartment. That's kind of, in a nutshell, the beginning of Cam.
Well, one of the first things, and where I originally met Cam, was the landscaping in my garden. As you know, he had a landscaping company, and I got Cammy over and said, you know, would he help me? And we kind of got into it together. As you can see where we are here, he did a beautiful job of putting this place together.
He never stops until it's done.
Yeah.
He'll be there till 11 o'clock at night working if it's not done yet. He dragged me along into it too.
From the minute he wakes up in the morning, there's always something inquiring about, or something to do, or something that he wants to potentially finish that day. I do think in 10 years' time, I see Cam being hugely successful, and because of the reasons I said, the tenaciousness, keeping at it, and overcoming all kinds of obstacles, not only in the business, but personal as well.
My dad always kind of had sound equipment, and my brother started, I think, like similar time I started, and I mean, people always need DJs, and we're pretty personable people, so we always got gigs to do, you know, school dances and weddings and stuff like that.
Even at a young age, he's always taking care of himself
And
others.
He would give you the shirt off of his back and then walk to a store and buy you more shirts.
Very caring person. I found him to really look after people and support his friends.
If you need something done, you give him a call. Like whenever I need help or something, call him, he'll be there no matter what. Even if he's in like a different county or different country.
Whether it be employees or family members or just friends, everyone says the same thing. They absolutely love Cam.
It might be easy to kind of write him off as a surfer dude kind of guy because of his speech impediment. But if you really take the time to like listen to him, to talk to him, he's a lot deeper than that.
And he's never been a kid who's always wanted things. Things are not important to him at all.
He was involved in an accident where he got hit. Someone totaled his vehicle, and so he got a big, insurance check to replace the vehicle. The check ended up being more than what he had expected. So with the extra money, he decided that he was going to buy 32 pairs of Tom's shoes and take them over to this orphanage that he had worked with in previous years in the Dominican Republic and give 32 kids a new pair of shoes. Most of these kids didn't have anything on their feet, let alone ever seen a pair of shoes.
What? You dropping me on my ass?
No.
Did you get new notes?
I changed it. Oh my god. I've had this one. I just changed it.
No, you didn't.
Oh, PDA.
Yeah, get her.
No.
Come on, babe. Oh, and Nika? Yeah. Of course, we go to the port and we go out to go on the boat. And there's a kitty, so of course, she's like, we have to have the kitty, so get a little kitty, bring it out on the boat with us.
Ow! Let me out! Hi, buddy! Hi, kitty!
We met on Tinder, and I feel like we're both not the kind of people to meet online that you think we might be. But yeah, I think we were just both looking more for someone to hang out with and not really like looking for a relationship. And yeah, after about a week of texting, we met in Santa Cruz. We had the first date there, and he took me surfing and paddleboarding. And ever since that, yeah, it was good. 3 weeks after knowing him, barely even interacting face to face, he asked me to go to Nicaragua with him, one-way ticket, and I was like, sure, yeah, let's go. I had a great time. We fell in love with the lifestyle there.
The people in third world countries generally are like the nicest people I've ever met. You know, they might not eat for 3 days and they'll give you the meal off their plate. I mean, I think the biggest thing I take from traveling is that it humbles you. You come back and you see like, wow, you can cut a lot of things out of your life and still be happy than most people.
He moved to Nicaragua and set up did a work trade, set up a Wi-Fi system there because he saw something that the people needed.
Running a business in another country with the language barrier was quite an experience.
Ever since I met him, he's always wanted to travel. He would always tell me he's going to go on this big odyssey, he was going to leave. He even told me a few times that he wasn't ever going to come back, but he did, luckily.
The first big trip I did was in high school. I went to the Dominican Republic one summer on a missions trip, and then the next summer I went back as an intern and was there for 5 weeks. From there, you know, it's always like, wow, there's something more than just what you grow up in, and just in California, and just in the United States.
We went to Belize, we went to Costa Rica, then we came home, we lived in Tahoe for a little bit. After that, we went to Maui for a year, and yeah, that was amazing, and now we're back here, so.
It's important to keep searching and not give up and keep looking for that significant other, because life is much easier with someone to vent to, someone to talk to. You know, a lot of people get their heart broken and give up and just kind of have this internal abuse, internal dialogue, but you just have to keep going. I mean, there's someone out there for you. I've had my heart broken a couple times. I've always given people the benefit of the doubt, and you know, cheating and stuff, you always deny it, but you know, and then you find out the truth, and yeah, it happens. And I think that's kind of why I'm kind of like how I am today, and just kind of shrug it off, and I don't really care what a lot of people think. I just kind of do my own thing. Annie's different for a few ways, you know. One thing I really admire is she just does her thing. She doesn't, I mean, she's similar to me in that you care what people think to a point, but like past that point, just do you. You know, so that was really attractive to me. You know, we both like being outdoors, and she forces me away from my computer when I don't want to be, and then when I get away, I love it. Annie makes me feel, yeah, I mean, just the thought makes me smile. What we've done, I love. Where we go, where we're gonna go, where we're gonna be in 10 years, I can't wait to see. One of the things I love about Annie is that she's not materialistic. And, you know, a perfect example is we were fortunate enough to live in a remodeled shipping container on the North Shore in Maui for about a year, and we lived on a farm that works with adults that have special needs. And it's just such, for one, a girl to be like, hey, we're gonna go live on an island in a shipping container, like if they say yes to that, that's like huge. She always said, you don't talk any different. And I'm like, what? Of course I do. Like, people have been telling me that my whole life, and you know, I'm finally grasping the concept of like, I really don't talk any different in her eyes. So like, it's really refreshing, and like, I can do what I want to do, and she loves me for that. And you know, and it's just really nice to not have to conform to anything.
What do I do now?
I'm making dinner and being clean. Look at me.
Oh my god, I thought you were trying to actually like portray Cam in this film.
No, it's a real movie.
Yeah.
Put it back up there.
Kitty soup. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, it smells. I want to fix the fridge.
Our fridge broke. This isn't our pepper. Definitely took it from inside the house.
Oh, it's not our kichu eats. We can't.
Yeah, this is a live.
It tastes way different.
Does it? Oh god, there's a sticker in there.
Food tastes way better when you like buy it from the farmer's market.
No, definitely. I'm trying to think. Remember when they made the sauce? What did they make with it? I think I made eggplant parm. Hi, cutie pie. Get him. Get him. Hey.
likes to explore new things. He likes to see new things, which gives him a broader perspective about life. You know, the more you see, the more you learn, and the more knowledge you gain.
He never once let his disability get in the way of him from going mountain biking or going skiing or going climbing or going camping. Cameron Sluggett never let anything get between him and what he wanted to do.
If he finds something that that he's passionate about, then he will just work on it 24/7, all day. Like, yeah, very, very driven and very focused individual, definitely.
Where do you want to go?
You don't want chicken? No? Are you sure?
Yeah, definitely. So it's totally suiting you guys. So we just try to get vendors on, and then we'll go market that out. You know, what's in it?
My name's Dave.
Cameron, nice to meet you. I'll be out there. Yeah, no, I love it. Back to my roots, and then I'll get you on the app. How many did you talk to?
I didn't.
Oh, what are you doing? I already talked to 3.
You did? Did it work?
Oh yeah, Luis is like a wholesale grower, and he's like, oh, that's sick. And you charge the fees to the buyer. Perfect.
Should I just go right
Yeah, yeah. Be like, hey, we're building a community. Like, try and get more people out. Growing up with technology, and in Oakdale, there's a lot of farmers and, you know, ranchers and producers and things like that. And I just saw a need to connect them better. I always went to farmers markets and stuff and see that it's such a inefficient process, and I think the process can be improved on. And because my love and knowledge of technology, I thought it'd be a great aspect to marry the two.
He wants to make it easier for the farmer to get his goods out into the market and get what they deserve for their for selling. He's just bringing it all together, and it's quite a deal he's working on it.
Even on this app, he started at a certain angle, started to see it goes in a different way, and he attacked that angle. That's the thing I appreciate. He hadn't, ever turned back and, changed his view. As the app and as the opportunity moved, Cam moved along with it, but with the same amount of intensity. And that's a real good virtue. And as a result of that, I think he's got a very good chance of making this work.
Doesn't make any sense. If you just have to take care of your body. Your body is an amazing machine.
Yeah.
You put good stuff in. There's the old adage, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage,
good in,
good
out.
in, good out. Have you always been like pretty healthy growing up, like conscious of what you eat?
No, I was very sickly when I was young, and by the time I matured and went in the army, then I got tougher and smarter, I guess. I don't know. I don't think I'm very smart, but I've got a long ways to go. But
you're smarter than me for sure.
Well, there's always learning experiences that avail themselves to us every day. Since I'm Armenian and some of my relatives came from the Fertile Crescent, and this came from the Fertile Crescent, as most of our wheats did, and so it was just, I don't know, it's just serendipitous that it happened that way. So we just started growing these, and I don't like to grow modern wheat, so This is, as I said, 19,500 years old. I can show you a field over there. Einkorn is 27,000 years old. So that's the very first one mankind ever ate.
And so then they buy the seeds from you, then what, bake and do?
Yeah, they make a rice dish like the Faroes. You do faroto, which is like risotto.
Okay.
But it's that, and then if we do Korshan wheat, which is like camu, then it would be Korshan odo, and if it's barley, a barley odo, and you do all the odos. Most of the bakers that I work with in LA at the farmers market, they'll buy from me and maybe do 20% of my stuff with some AP all-purpose flour from some mill. I don't know what mill.
Okay.
Where they can buy cheap, and it's coming from all over the world. It's been blended and it has a straight line. Ours, who knows where it is,
Yeah.
Characteristics. But ours has the flavor intensity. They don't have near the flavors that these things do.
How long has this farm been organic for?
The last of it will be certified this year, but a lot of it's been certified for about 7 years.
Right now with our Kichu, we have an awesome product and a great team behind it, and we're just working on getting vendors to sign up and really understanding that technology is there to benefit them. One of the big things I want to keep in our Kichu is that the people still interact with the farmer and don't lose that face-to-face interaction. We're really building our Kichu to connect the local vendors and producers with the customers directly. Vendors can sign up on the website. It's totally free. We don't ask for a credit card. We're just working on building a community of vendors and users on the app. You can buy things right through the app.
I think he used to be a lot wilder. Now he's starting to really focus on things, So he used to be completely over here, and then I'm going to Nicaragua right now, and then he's off on some tangent. Now he's starting to really focus on it and kind of get his direction.
Couple reasons I chose San Luis Obispo. One, there's great farmers markets and agriculture down there. Two, it's got a great startup culture. And I got accepted into a startup incubator down there called the Slow Hot House. So that has been super beneficial to me. If you have a vision and go for it and give it all you have, 110%, I would say that's an entrepreneur. And I think that's what separates the people that have ideas versus the people who act on those ideas and try and make something out of it.
We make juice every single day.
Wow.
Because every single day we have a different market. So nothing is old.
And you run out every day?
Every day.
Wow.
Yes.
And how much juice do you make a day?
Oh, we go to gallons and gallons and boxes of
That's
vegetables.
So it's just, it blows my mind just talking to farmers, and like I said, you see the end product and most people just grab it and take it and don't think about it, and there's so much that goes into it.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the best way. You can go just pick whatever you need and go and cook it in the same 30 minutes.
Yeah. So if you had the choice, would you go into Whole Foods
To sell the product?
sell juice?
Oh no, I've been having a lot of people trying to work together, and but then I will lose the quality.
Yeah.
And the quantity will go up.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I have said no.
It's more for benefits for people and not for, business. I had gallstones in my liver and it started juicing for me. and it's gone, disappear with Kevin beats.
There's so many stories with Cam. I think one that comes to mind. We went on this camping trip. We used to camp a lot as a family, and we were in this state park. And Cam had been, he brought all his pulleys and his carabiners and his ropes, and he had fastened this whole rope system up this tree in our campsite, and he was climbing up and down it with his rope system. He's got his full harness, and the ranger didn't really like it too much, and Cam sat up in the tree looking down on him as he told him to get down. He said, I'm not really doing anything wrong. I'm not hurting this tree. It's just, I'm just doing me. I'm not offending anyone. I'm not yelling things. I'm just up here, brought all my system, my cables. I'm just having a good time. And Cam stood his ground, and the ranger ended up leaving, and Cam was still up in the tree.
Definitely important to take risks. I mean, there's an aspect of thrill. I think people learn a lot from failing. I think people are afraid of failure because that's what they're taught. Be afraid of it, some, because that will get you to succeed, but don't just be afraid of it 100%, because then you'll never try anything. You'll always just be like, oh, I'm gonna fail, but you never knew because you didn't try and you weren't taught to try.
You know, that's a hard question to answer. In 10 years from now, who knows where Cameron will be, but wherever he is, he's going to be exactly where he's supposed to be. Cameron's not going to settle. Cameron's not going to settle for anything less than what he wants. He's going to end up extremely successful in whatever environment life places in him and wherever he is in the world. And anybody that knows him and says differently doesn't know what they're talking about.
My hopes for humanity, I want people to have more of a choice and not feel like they're getting swept in with everyone else. You know, conform and have to go work or have to get the house or they have to go to college right after high school. And, you know, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you don't want to go to college, don't go to college. If you don't want to work and want to do your own thing, go do your own thing. I mean, there's always a way, and I don't think you're necessarily taught that. And so, you know, my hopes are that they just have more of a want on a day-to-day basis.